I think losing Claire was definitely quite a blow to our team. He was one of our better members. However, we've shifted our focus from mid more towards bot. Um, and Addition is a lot better than people think. I think he's really underrated. We used to play with Cardred, and from playing with Cardred and Addition, I do think Addition is a bit superior. Our new mid BMA plays more of a supportive role and can provides the utility for Addition to carry. Even without Claire, we'll still be better than Sin and be able to take them on.
Welcome back to the OPL Week 2. We just heard from Impaired, who will take to the Rift tonight to face off against Rymeister's Sin Gaming. Hello, everybody. I am Jake Spawn Tiberi. Joining me onto the desk tonight will be Tay Ryu from the Hellions and Oceanic, all-star top laner. And down the end of the desk will be Julian Pastry Time Carr. How are you doing today, Julian?
You know what? It's Ocean Week, Spawn. It's Monday. I'm feeling a bit crabby.
Yeah, we say Melbourne. We say Perth. Up next tomorrow is Adelaide. So make sure on Australia, guys, Australia Day, you guys put some of your best efforts into getting that town under control. Ryu, after a disappointing loss last week against Avant, you guys would have to be looking to bounce back.
It definitely was a disappointing performance by us, but I think it's what can be expected from a new team. We've only been playing together for a little over a month, and I think we only have room for improvement, so we'll definitely bounce back.
Certainly hope that is the case for Hellion fans out there, hoping to see Ryu and his team bounce back. But let's take a look at the schedule for this week's games. As we kick off tonight, it will be Trident taking on Sin. Tomorrow night will be Avant-Garde versus Legacy for our Australia Day matchup. On Wednesday, our doubleheader will be Infernum versus Ryu's Hellions. And our OPL Legend match will round out the week as defending champions Chiefs will take on the Direwolves. For any more information or the schedule, check out oce.lolesports.com. So let's jump straight into today's matchup and take a look at the lineups. Trident will be starting on your blue side. It will be their top laner, Tank Pac-Man, in the top lane. Impaired, who we just heard from earlier in the jungle, will be BMA in the mid lane. Addition, their AD carry, as well as Jake, their new support. And, big things we expected out of this lineup. The young mechanics crew coming through the OCS. We really expected them to make waves, but they are up against an intimidating Sin lineup, who we will now take a look at. It will be Chippies, their new top laner. Juves in their jungler. Rymeister, their assassin in the mid laner. Cardred and Rogue in AD carry and support, respectively. These guys we expect big things from. But we heard from Impaired. This is kind of Rymeister versus Impaired. They're two superstars of the team. And Julian, that's weird to say.
Yeah, it is, because you wouldn't think that would be the matchup we might look at. But to be honest, these are the best players on their team. They constantly dictate pace of the game. They love to control tempo, and they're just so good at getting teams ahead and winning. We've seen Rymeister go big on things like Yasuo, where he almost pulled out a game there last week. And Impaired's been known to go off in Challenger, and he's just a super aggressive jungler on the likes of that in Italy. So you have to think that even though they're not in the same lane necessarily, they're probably going to meet each other, and they'll be very important in the game.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And we're going to hear a lot about this matchup, but I want to see what is going on the other side. Because if we're comparing mid laner and jungler, you also have to do the same on the opposite. It's going to be Juves versus BMA. Both guys didn't get off to a great week one. Ryu, coming to you. Who is a bigger liability for their team at the moment?
I think at that matchup, I think Juves is definitely a bigger liability, just because how the meta is right now. It's very fast-paced, and it really suits carry junglers. And Impaired, on the other hand, really likes to play these sort of champions like Nidalee, Graves, and he has the ability to impact the map more and potentially snowball the game.
And we saw in last week's matchup against Legacy, that's definitely what happened. Carbon played it out of his mind, and Impaired, he's no slouch in the jungle role either. But Pastry Time, I know you have a different opinion on this one. Who are you looking towards?
Yeah, I actually would be worried on the Trident side for their mid laner BMA. I think in this matchup, Rymeister is so scary when he gets ahead that you just can't afford to fall behind. And BMA has a very specific style. It's control mage heavy. It's more team fight heavy. But kind of like when he played against Cheese, an aggressive mid laner can really take it to you, especially if there's jungle pressure there as well. And I just don't know if Impeg can contain this, given that Rymeister is probably feeling very confident in the matchup. And Juves can go away, play a bit more low econ, play some tanks, maybe hide in the jungle. BMA can't really hide in mid lane.
Yeah, and it seems to be meta dependent for both of these guys, because we've seen a lot of lane swaps and isolating mid lanes. And even when we haven't seen the mid lane, we've seen that you have to give attention to your lane, actually, Ryu, which is the top lane at the moment. And Chippies versus Pac-Man seems to be maybe in Sin's favor. So do you think Impaired gets up there early?
From what I've seen, I think Chippies definitely is slightly a stronger player. However, both these players have tendencies to play a very risky lane. Like they play a risk to get advantages. So with the right jungle pressure, I think this lane could potentially snowball either way. So it all comes down to the jungler.
Do you agree, Pastry Time, there? Do you think that the Chippies is going to get the upper hand over Pac-Man?
I think it's possible. I mean, again, Imped's pressure is so good that he can swing the lane back if he wants to. So if the junglers do go there, we'll see how good the attention is. But I think the playstyles are different enough. Chippies likes to carry a bit more. Pac-Man likes to be a bit more of a tank. It kind of depends what they want to play, honestly, and how the draft goes up. But top lane's always a pivotal lane. I think if the junglers do go there, then they can have an impact. But do you really want to take, for Trident especially, do you want to take that away from mid or bot, which we heard from Imped earlier is kind of where he likes going now?
Yeah, and this is the thing that I like to highlight with Trident. We keep mentioning the fact BMA, he's a support mid laner. He loves to play the Twisted Fate, loves to play the Orianna. Pac-Man, from all purposes, we've heard he's going more towards these carries, but he is a tank top laner. So Imped's actually got his eggs in the addition basket. This guy's been a chief support. He's been floating around the team for a very long time. Do you think that Addition and Jakey are going to be able to get an upper hand? Because Cardred and Rogue, veteran new support player, look pretty strong.
Yeah, Cardred, I mean, he's, an Oceanic champion. He's got plenty of experience and certainly a strong player, especially when the meta suits him on more of the hypercarry style champions. Rogue, despite being new, had excellent games to start things off for Sin, despite the losses they suffered. So I think it's going to be tough. But if Imped has faith in his AD carry and support, they're going to have to show up here tonight and really show just how well they can play.
And do you agree, Ryu? Do you think that right now it is going to be Imped having to get into that bottom lane and trying to get Addition in a position to carry?
I don't necessarily agree. I think the game can be snowballed off any lane right now. And I think top lane definitely is a possibility. But I think the fights might very likely happen in the jungle.
All right, so this seems like a much quicker matchup. Quickly, guys, a much closer matchup. Quickly, I want to get your predictions. Julian, who do you think is going to win?
I believe in Imped and his faith in his bottom lane. 2-1 Trident, but very close.
Ryu, who do you think is going to win this one and why?
I think it's going to be very close. Imped can potentially snowball one game out of control, but with the better teamwork, and with the better drafting, I think Sin can get 2 solid wins.
So there we are, guys. We are 1-1. We've heard from Imped. It's only fair that we hear from the other team. So as I throw over to our handsome casters, Atlas and Rusty, let's hear from Sin's mid lane at Rymeister.
What do I think of Trident? Ever since they lost Claire, they haven't looked the same, honestly. They look quite weak. I'm not really concerned about them. I think they'll be in the bottom pack of the OPL. Imped definitely lives up to his name. He's a very Imped jungler. He tends to farm a lot. He plays the same playstyle as Silver, but weaker, and we'll exploit him in that area as well. As for Beamer, I did respect him as a rider, but as a player, I'm not sure if I respect him that much, so we'll have to see, but yeah.
Whoa! Okay, shots fired. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the caster desk. Damn!
Holy moly.
Yeah. Okay, so Rymeister definitely opinionated on this particular matchup. And we've spoken about the fact that, especially the desk, saying that there's some definite mismatches as far as the jungle and that mid lane. But I wasn't exactly expecting Rymeister to have that opinion of Imped. I think he's pretty good.
Well, according to Rymeister, there's a mismatch literally everywhere on the map.
Yeah.
So I think he's quite confident here that Sin will do well coming into this game. And really, if Rymeister's words are true, we should see a confident 2-0. But Imped doesn't think that either.
No. Well, we heard from Imped already. Of course, you guys have already seen the video. And man, Rymeister. I mean, it's good to have confidence, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? We are into Champion Select Trident already with respect towards Rymeister. I think that that's probably not going to be received equally on the other side, as Yasuo is going to hit the bench. Lulu going to be banned away, so both Pac-Man and BMA can play that particular champion. And man, I'm still reeling. This guy.
He didn't hold back, that is
No,
for
he
sure.
did not. He did not. Gangplank going to be banned away on the blue side here, so not wanting to try that one out are Trident, and they're not going to let it move over to the side of Sin. Tahm Kench going to leave the Rift as well, so 2 very supportive champions to be taken away from potentially the solo lanes.
But 2 carry champions removed from Rymeister in particular. We did see Beamer play a game on Lulu last week in one of the 2 defeats that they did in fact have. But to be fair, they played against a tough opponent in Chiefs for their first week. And as
over the other side. Yeah, exactly.
Legacy. So these bans could indicate a lot of behind the scenes information, or it could just be that they are quite worried that if you give Trident the Lulu, not just Beamer, then things could go a bit awry.
Yeah, that's a very good point. An excellent use of awry there as well, given the opponent. Quinn is going to be banned third here, as that could be towards Rymeister or Chippies, or potentially Cartridge, not entirely sure. But Trundle going to leave the Rift as well, so very supportive cast in the ban list on the side of Sin Gaming. 6.1, so Trundle has his mana costs a little bit higher, that sort of thing. So still respecting that one.
Turrets, most important.
Yeah, can't bite the old turrets. Top lane Trundle very upset about that particular option. Jake, though, one of these sort of disengage-based support players, so it does make a lot of sense to take it away from his arsenal.
Indeed.
Pac-Man, though, now with the first pick option. Lysandra has been so popular here in the OPL. Of course, no mid laners to play that one just yet. We know that Pac-Man has been practicing that champion a lot, and they are going to lock it in. First pick here, as BMA does have the option to take that one away. Wouldn't be surprised if Pac-Man was playing it.
Rise is available. I mean,
my
they've completely
God.
gone through this draft unattested. I don't understand why they wouldn't be picking it up at the moment. Lysandra's a great first rotation as well. Still one of those flex champions, but with Rise on the board,
That's crazy.
not sure what's going on.
It's been ignored already. I mean, two massive picks here in the Alistair and the Graves. Of course, the jungle lineup has been entirely ignored at the moment, as it is going to be the Graves locked away here for Juve. So a little bit more early power. He played the Rek'Sai and the Elise last time around. So a little bit more of a supportive, maybe still trying to get into the face of the opponent, but not with as much damage availability as Graves has.
Well, that's also a denial pick from Impaired.
Very
Taking
true.
away one of the many carries that he can play. Graves the most meta with the highest amount of immediate AoE burst, whereas
Yep.
if Impaired reverts back to the Nidalee, it's magic damage that's already coupled with a Lysandra, most likely in that top lane.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a lot of magic damage across the board here, you would have to assume. Beamer, not known for his assassin play.
No.
So realistically, if they take the Graves away, they confine all of the physical damage to Addition, and they can just camp the bot lane.
Well, Impaired, considering taking the opposite side of that coin, as the Elise is the opportunity here. Lots of pick potential already with the three champions locked in. BMA grabs Jake's Janna pick. Of course, we did mention his disengaged style. This definitely fits that flavor, but once again, Rise unanswered. Would actually sort of put Trident in a little bit of a hole here. They can flex the Lysandra between mid and top, but they would have that double AP comp already locked down. So maybe just wanting to keep their opponents guessing.
Honestly, they should go something along the lines of Kalista or Tristana. If I had to make an assessment here for Trident, they want a hyper carry to be in the AD role. Janna essentially makes that Kalista a hyper carry. But if Sin were to lock this champion in, they may want to rethink their strategy and even revert back to an Ezreal.
Yeah, the
Raises
OCE
problems,
special.
though. Yeah.
And of course, it's teams banning the likes of Malphite against them. They didn't actually have to worry about banning that champion last time around. Olaf, though, is going to be locked in.
Yeah, I like this.
Interesting.
So it's a lot of damage. It's very difficult for a tank to lane against him early game. The base stats are decent for tanks and usually around mid games where they shine, but Olaf is just oppressive in every single lane, and keeping a tank down by any means is the tank staying down.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if it is Lysandra top lane, Chippies, if it were the case, will just throw lots of axes at his face until he's low, because he's not a tank.
True. Look, I'm excited to see Olaf here in the OPL as well for the first time around. Cardred, of course, locking in that Kalista, so a little bit of mid-game insurance there, picking up that champion. Does scale nicely as well, as you mentioned. But Addition now over to the Lucian, which has definitely been flavor of the month. I mean, we saw Avant carry through two massive victories, only changing up one position from set to set. And of course, it was that Thresh Kalista bottom lane that they managed to use. Of course, this time the Alistair Kalista. As the BMA special coming in with the Orianna.
Yeah, so they are going to lock that one away. Very obvious now, Lysandra is going to be in that top lane. Pac-Man is the one with the history of playing Lysandra as of late. So
Yep.
Beamer's going to pick up another control mage for them in this middle lane. The question's always going to be there of the magic damage, but by having a Janna and a Lucian who can definitely put out the hurt in a physical manner, it's a reasonably well-rounded team composition. They've got a lot of protection for either Impaired or Addition on the Lucian and Elise respectively.
Yeah, I also really like the long-range engage potential as well, coming out of the massive claw, and Addition can follow up with the culling there as well, with BMA there for insurance with that shockwave.
But the big concern,
Oh my goodness, is what has just been locked in potentially there, Rusty.
you weren't exactly reading my mind, but close enough.
Trying.
They have gone, again, Trident's concern is their confinement with team compositions and the champions that they can play, so BMA naturally goes towards these control mages, and opting into having one top lane it unlocks Sin, and in particular Chippies, by being Olaf to walk straight through all of it and just run them down with that Ragnarok.
Ragnarok very, very powerful, especially against the massive amount of CCs that Lysandra wants to be putting out. Of course, she's not going to be able to do too much against that, but Rymeister's locked in the LeBlanc here, so really taking it to BMA there in the mid lane. We'll see whether he can snowball this one out of control. Of course, we know that he loves to play these assassins, and this is potentially what looks like the beginning of that mismatch. We'll see exactly what happens. That being said, BMA, pretty good Orianna play. This guy's played Orianna for a very long time.
Definitely a good Orianna player and just all-around control mage player, BMA. The thing is, Rymeister being on this LeBlanc is going to be hyper-aggressive and try and win and trade in laning phase, and that's where the pressure might actually get to BMA and force him back or force him behind, and we'll see if that actually happens.
Exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, hop over to Twitter, use that hashtag TryWin if you think Trident are going to take this one, or the hashtag SinWin if you believe in all that Rymeister was spouting before this particular game. Man, he was not holding back any of those punches, and I'm excited to see whether he can put his money where his mouth is, so to speak.
Well, he absolutely has to right now because he's talked the talk. I don't know if he's going to be able to walk the walk because even Impaired was confident, but as we get into this game, one thing that you'll need to keep in mind here is, will Sin, through the middle lane, take control of the entire map? Or will Impaired, because BMA is holding his own in the middle lane, take control of the map himself? I feel like we've spoken about how the jungle and middle lane pressure comes into play here. The major difference is I feel like Sin as a team takes over, whereas Impaired by himself will destroy Juves and as such take over the map himself.
Yeah, and it's all about the stages of the game as well. I feel like Trident have the opportunity to own this early game, especially with the power of Elise, the fact that she can gank multiple lanes pretty quickly, using that cocoon once she hits to that level 3 mark. Yeah. Sin, though, at the moment, already with a lot of deep vision, making sure that they can scout out the potential lane swap. At the moment, Cardred moving towards the bottom side of the map, so it looks like they don't want to get swapped on at the moment.
I will say you very rarely want to invade a Graves. Lysandra, much more self-sufficient, you would have to say, in lane swaps as well, so Sin ideally would be looking for the 2 versus 2.
Soft are the targets of our spears.
You guys need to calm down.
Yeah, they're pretty loud.
Yeah, just keep talking.
Addition, though, is going to wander over this ward, so Sin going to see exactly where Trident are starting. You can see double jungling ensuing at the start. Pac-Man just giving a leash over to Impaired, as Juves is going to get the same over at the Gromp on his side of the map. And minions already meeting in the mid lane as Rymeister taking some damage from BMA. Clockwork wind-up working wonders here, early levels.
Yeah, naturally, having the ball on you with the E level denies a lot of Rymeister's potential burst. Doran's Ring, also the major difference here between the two. Corrupting Potion, you're looking at a bit of extra damage when things like that happen, but...
man, passive already popped here as BMA going aggressive.
Yeah, BMA just got himself out-traded by walking back in. The Corrupting Potion passive has a 5-second cooldown and actually gave Rymeister 2 procs of that off. Now he's got the level 2 advantage. BMA's zoning himself till he can keep up because naturally the level 1 is the major advantage for Orianna from range.
Yeah, she now has that level 2, so Command Protect possibly there. But already you can see exactly what you were talking about, Rusty, with Rymeister wanting to play so far forward in this lane. Oh, Headbutt Pulverize not going to find it there as Addition really quick with his hands. Relentlessly pursues away.
Crisp.
Yeah.
From Addition just there, gets himself out of any potential damage from Cardred and Rogue. If the combo was to land, Alistar can slap you. And then Callista combos with the W passive. It hurts.
Yeah, not happening this time around, though. Rymeister still with a wave pushing all the way up towards BMA's turret.
It's going to reset, though.
Yeah, Juice was paying some attention here towards the top lane. Just going to take himself a Rift Scuttler. End of the line does a lot of damage. In fact, every one of his buttons seems to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, turns out Graves.
Yeah.
Lots of damage.
Yeah, big old damages.
There's a big stack of minions here, Beamer. He's going to struggle to get all of these under the turret if Rai continues to pressure. And that could be a big lead already starting to form here. Unlikely, given that Rymeister's lost a lot of level 1 farm.
Oh, there's the Headbutt Pulverize this time around. Addition gets a shield on him, though. Lots of damage potential coming out as Jakey, he's going to take the brunt of the focus. Sin and Trident really battling here in the bottom lane.
Trading with a Janna when the shield is available. If an Alistar uses the entire combo and Cardred wasn't already attacking the Lucian, you'll find that it's a quite delayed trade and then the shield comes out, and you instantly get out-traded. Addition coming up a little bit ahead there. Of course, just forcing potions out of a cow. Not actually that big of a deal.
Yep, not too bad.
They are milking him for what he's worth, though.
I shouldn't like that much.
Wasn't
But I
meant to be
do.
that bad.
But I do. Oh, Ward going to be taken down here by Sin.
Thank you for the CS.
Yep. Fantastic. Oh, Juice making his way around. The chains land. BMA going to flash out of the way. Already out of mana here as well. Nice summoner spell gained from almost Rymeister alone there, as Juice was in there for insurance.
Yeah, one of the big perks of being a Graves jungle is your capacity to gank that middle lane, especially once you hit the level 6 mark. You can kind of just walk in, use your collateral damage, and burst them for 300 odd HP. Changes the tide of the lane, definitely. And the thing with LeBlanc is it's just that easy to do so when you can put chains on them.
Yep. Already manages to pick up that summoner spell. We'll see whether the follow-up's going to be there. Impaired's going to find Juves. There's the smoke screen, but a lot of damage onto Impaired. Pac-Man makes his way over as Juves might need to be a little bit careful.
Juves could have out-traded Pac-Man just there, but chose not to use any of his spells. Impaired was running away, and Pac-Man was well out of position. Graves opting not to use his Q.
Oh, finds him once again, but Juves is going to get caught by that cocoon. Quick draws away. Nice bounce back there with the end of the line as Rymeister comes around. There is going to be the rappel. He gets on top. First blood goes down. Immediately answered now by Rymeister. This is what we were talking about. Rymeister picks up a kill, but so does Impaired.
Pac-Man's here, though.
Yeah,
Needs to be careful.
Found his way in. There's the claw. Lots of damage. Circle of Frost is there. Rymeister completely out of mana. Distortion not going to be available after he's just used it. The heal comes in. Meanwhile, fight in the bottom lane as Kadra gets exhausted. There's the Rend as Jake now taking the damage back. But Rymeister not going to die. Neither is anyone here on the bottom side of the map.
Rymeister using his flash to ensure he gets out there with his life. Meanwhile, the trade in the bottom lane starting to look like both AD carries just in general getting quite low, running low on that mana. Also, difficult for Lucian to actually spell weave with his kit, and Kalista may start to come up trumps by having an Alistar for the heals. Speaking of heals, Beamer actually used his to try and close the gap onto Rymeister. He's probably going to regret that and may want to go slightly defensive with his build here.
Well, looks like it is going to be the Abyssal Scepter picked up by Rymeister as he's gone back, grabbed himself that Blasting Wand and the Null Magic Mantle, now clearing out the minion wave with that Mimic Distortion.
And of course, as mentioned, Beamer might want to go defensive, opts towards the Athena's Unholy Grail.
Yep.
Don't often see this item, not very efficient anymore.
No. Oriana does like the extra mana back though, as Addition takes an auto attack. Nice little harassment rotation from Cardred. In fact, I think he got the Rend in there before the Eye of the Storm. Yeah. Shield was on top.
Also worth noting, not many Thunderlords to be seen in that bottom lane.
No.
Fervor of Battle actually starting to work its way up the ranks in popularity. Has seen a resurgence.
Does give you a little bit more now and takes shorter time to stack.
Does indeed.
End of the line. Helping Juves out as he farms out this Raptor camp. Impaired wants to pay a visit though, both of them level 5. And we'll see whether Juves is going to be able to lock this one down. No, Impaired grabs it. Just a cheeky Q and he'll wander away. Grabs level 6 off that one as well.
So many downsides to Graves when jungling and or taking wards. The perfect example
man,
there.
yep.
Needs to reload. Throws down the smoke screen. Says, get out of my jungle. Impaired's like, nah, that's mine.
Yep. Takes it there as well as BMA. He sends his ball back towards himself after picking up that blue buff. Rymeister now with a little bit of a CS lead, but BMA is going to pick up a big wave as Rymeister is going to head over and grab his own blue. Juves jungling out the rest of those little sentinels, and looks like we're going for a little bit of a walkabout.
And this is a very interesting point in the game. In the pregame, we spoke about points of power. Well, Impaired is one, Rymeister's the other.
Yeah, Chippy's is one too. He does have that Ragnarok now in the top lane as he's going to get out. Doesn't even use a summoner spell, but he's going to have to go back to base. Impaired already asserting some dominance.
But forcing the ultimate is a real opportunity for a repeat offender gank from Impaired. Knowing that it's not available, they can actually lock him down next time. Ensure that he goes down.
Well, you can see Sin hanging around where this red buff is actually up. Addition with his wave getting pushed towards him as well.
But again, as mentioned, Rymeister 1-0. Slight CS advantage, doing well in this middle lane, as he said he would do.
Yeah.
Impaired, on the other hand, has an extra kill in comparison to Juves and did kill him in that last trade. So both respective carry roles are doing exactly that thus far in this game, and it's going to be a really interesting dynamic to see how this continues to unfold.
Exactly right, Rusty. And you can see it reflected in the gold. Very even. The fact that both of these carries are doing work. Rymeister finds his way over. Not going to find the chain onto BMA.
Those chains definitely connected, though. Just the shield protect him from damage.
Oh, very nice. It's all a bit confusing when the chains do crazy things after a distortion. Oh, in he goes. Mimic Distortion is there. BMA not going to get caught by the chain, and that's going to be a little bit of a hula hoop hanging out in the middle of the lane.
Just showing him he can use it.
Yep.
Just saying, you know, next time.
R button has been locked in.
Just so you know,
Keybound,
I can
mate.
still press this button. Come near me, I dare you.
Well, he's probably more than happy to now that ability is on cooldown.
Oh, Beamer.
Oh, dear. Well, come on. Your first competitive shockwave in a long time is Addition. He's going to get rendered. Rogue needs to walk his way out, though. An opportunity for Trident to trade back, but they don't do too well. Piercing Light not landing.
Very difficult for a Janna Lucian lane to come out ahead against the Hyper Tank Rogue on this Alistar that can engage himself. Causes a lot of issues if the engage is right. And Callista follows it up to a T.
Man, Juice is all over this jungle right now of his opponent.
As
Moving
he
up,
should be.
Grabs a Gromp.
He's going over the wall.
Oh, see if he's out of vision range here as well. I believe he
Pac-Man
is.
is diveable.
Yeah, he might be in trouble. Does have that Frozen Tomb. We'll see how he plays this one. End of the line with a bit of damage as Chippies wants to be tanking this turret. Pac-Man just going to use that ult on himself. In comes Rymeister. Chippies may fall down, but Pac-Man's dead. It's a 1-for-1 trade, and I'm not even sure whether that was worth it as Juves takes most of his health bar. They'll need to get out. Don't grab that minion wave, mate, because you are in trouble.
He's going to have to... Rymeister's looking to turn the... Oh, my
he
God!
walks in front.
You've made a mistake.
Oh.
We were questioning the worth of that. Well, one thing to consider is the Dark Seal on Rymeister now has stacks.
That's
That's
true.
lovely. And Rymeister himself being 2-0. It's a very big deal. Of course, Pac-Man picks up a kill for himself, and he did struggle the last time we watched Trident play to carry, even when he was 3-0 on that Darius.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe it does present a good start here for Sin.
Although, he was on Darius last time around. We heard our analyst's opinion of that particular champion in the team comp. It wasn't exactly what the doctor ordered. BMA actually recently tweeted about the fact that he'd want to be taking some Raptor camps. Good to know that he's going to do just that.
Of course, he got a little bit of distasteful responses.
What?
From our producer.
Rymeister, though, going to miss a cannon creep. So we'll see whether he hangs up his boots and leaves, because I hate missing cannon creeps personally. So Rymeister, though, sticking around.
I don't know any sadist that would actually enjoy it.
Enjoy missing a cannon creep.
That'd be horrible.
Oh, awful stuff.
Well, they couldn't be in a pro league anyway. We won't have that problem.
Yep.
That's a lot of gold.
Anyway, Rymeister able to clear out this minion wave very effectively. Now about 10 CS ahead. Those couple of kills putting him very far forward as far as that gold is concerned. And Chippies, happy up here in the top lane, now has a Spectre's Cowl as well as that Hex Drinker, so building towards this double AP counter as best he can. Oh, Juve struggling with exactly what the problem is with Graves. So trying to take down the pink ward, nails it.
Such a difficult task to do, though, as the bottom lane AD carries have been left to their own devices at the moment, and I thought for a second Kadra was going to try and use his Q through that minion. A little bit sad he didn't.
Yeah, it would have been cute.
You might even say a slight advantage to Kadra, as long as it's poke.
Yeah.
Speaking of poke, you're just going to get destroyed.
Yeah, these Undertows doing a bunch of work as Chippies still has the Ragnarok available as well, just demonstrating to Pac-Man exactly what he's capable of. Frozen 2 makes it very difficult to kill the Lysandra, as we saw. But if you can survive for long enough,
oh my
doesn't
God.
last that long as BMA and Impaired. They found Juves. Quick Draw going to get him out of the way. Aptly named, as it was fairly quick. And he will be okay.
Much more aptly named with the new Graves. Of course, the Cocoon not exactly on the right angle here from Impaired, as Juves can kind of just shake it off and walk away.
Yep,
Speaking of... Oh, why? That line is dragon.
Yeah. Sin just going to start this one off. They've got a lot of secure and a lot of damage. The fact that that's a Graves jungle. Cartridge is going to be able to render it to death, I assume. Nicely done. So Sin, they lock down the first dragon of the game here at 13 and a bit minutes. The bottom lane of Trident are going to be backing here as well. We'll see whether Sin going to be able to push back, but that wave all the way up to their turret. We didn't see that, Cardred, don't worry.
Relatively slow dragon time, but of course no emphasis on taking dragons anymore.
No.
Not really a big
getting
deal.
lonely.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. In fact, I would wager he's happier not being killed.
That's a good point.
About dragon ethics.
Oh man, Rymeister finds the next chain. There is no mana on BMA. The flash forward from Rymeister. Doesn't have a lot of buttons left, but he'll lock down the kill. Auto attacks are there. He's going to try and head over this wall. Pink Ward goes down. Additions there. Uses the distortion. Rymeister, you will have to go back, but there's the Frozen Tomb. Shutdown comes in. Immediately destroyed, though, as Chippies makes his way over and deletes Pac-Man. Sin on the run as Trident, the 3v3 in the mid lane.
And that's the aggression that we're expecting from Rymeister. Finds himself essentially a solo kill. Beamer overstaying his welcome, looking for those minions. Runs out of mana and is destroyed for overstaying. Unfortunately for Sin, capitalizing on BMA going down, results in the rest of Trident flanking. They pick up Rymeister, but all he had to do was live for as long as possible. And Sin Cavalry made their way to the middle lane, and they pick up an immediate trade. Things going very well here for Sin as they find themselves at least 1 kill up now.
Yeah, 1 kill up, but actually behind in gold by a couple of hundred, interestingly enough. But see whether they can even that one out. No towers have fallen either, so that's just organic.
And bot lane just having a bit of extra farm.
Yeah, field day for Addition at the moment. But you can see Cardred still moving towards his power spike as he's got that Blade of the Ruined King. And this is the mid game. This is exactly where Rymeister wants to be, and we'll see whether he can affect the rest of the map. Already moving towards that bottom lane.
He wants to, but hasn't gone for the Frost Queen's Claim build. Most likely the Morello Nomicon, so his ability to catch people and rotate, or at least keep himself alive even in this middle lane, he's going to struggle a bit.
Oh, the culling comes in. Cardred takes the full lot of it as Jakey's under there. Let's have to be a bit careful, but man, Cardred, you may have to go back to base.
That was a lot of damage on a Cardred. I'd be very surprised if he did stay, of course. Popped a potion, has a Blade of the Ruined King, so lifesteal's there. And this is cheeky from them. They're going to get some health back before the minions push to the turret. Or actually after. Now he's going to miss a lot of them.
Rymeister is very comfortable with his position in this game currently. In the enemy jungle, grabbing a pink ward. Beamer heading back to base now as well. He's finished the Athene's Unholy Grail. Now has that blasting one in his back pocket. We'll see what he picks up as far as his next item. Might be a Rabidance.
He's gone for the Athene's Unholy Grail, and honestly, he was better off going for a tier with an Abyssal Scepter, or even just leave it at a Mana Crystal. Go for Rod of Ages. I just fundamentally disagree with going for Athene's Unholy Grail, when realistically, every other item gives you mana regen. Hello.
Oh, Jakey's in trouble. The chain misses, though. There's the Command Protect as Addition's getting dived underneath this turret. Tries to get some damage back onto Cardred, but no dice. And Rogue just says, this is unbreakable, baby. Get out of underneath that turret.
All of the bottom lane, all of the bottom jungle has been warded by Sin in complete control of the area. Catch Jakey out of position, immediately go bottom knowing Jakey's low and get Addition. They're not stopping.
No, they're not. Impaired. Manages to get the cocoon onto Juice, but that's all she wrote.
And top turret.
Yeah, Chippy's just... I got axes, man. Smacking people down.
If that axe hit, he could have all in. 100%.
This is exactly what Sin want to be doing as well. Now moving around, using their mid-game power. They take 2 Swift turrets. Rymeister now heading back to base. We'll see what he decides to pick up, because it is going to be Morello Nomicon opting into all of that cooldown reduction.
Yeah, and I think the real thing to look forward to here is Pac-Man and Addition coupling together in a mid-game skirmish or team fight. We're yet to see Pac-Man effectively use his teleport to influence the rest of the map. Neither top laner has their teleport, and this is actually a window where, given that his turret's already gone, Pac-Man can actually roam around the map freely and look to use his claw to engage on over-aggressive LeBlancs, as an example.
Chain is going to miss as Rymeister heads back to his original distortion, but BMA, he's just having such a horrible time in this lane.
And I feel like this is what we saw against the Chiefs as well. BMA really struggling in this middle lane. Not entirely his fault, given the influence that the junglers did put down earlier, giving Rymeister that first kill, but I do have to bring it back one more time to just disliking his item build. And now he's going for a Rod of Ages, which is going to be late and inefficient after having an Athene's. He should have gone for Frost Queen's Claim maybe if he was going to go for a mana regen item and then work towards an Abyssal Scepter or a Rod. Even just Negatron into Morello. Like I'm naming different item builds that I think of.
It just like the Frost Queens as well has been completely ignored actually across the board. Lysandras like to build it even when they're in the top lane. LeBlanc's like to build it as well, but Rift Herald going to be taken. That's a good point. So a little bit different.
Of course, 50% mana regen was taken off it, which is why I'm referencing 6.1.
Yeah, and the slow now decays a little bit more and is different if you use it.
Or 2 to 5 seconds of 40% slow.
Yeah, good point.
It's actually a second longer if it hits at max range.
Hey, cool.
Yeah. And 2 is already longer than the Rylai slow on a single target.
Oh, Rymeister goes all the way in, destroyed by the Shockwave. That may have been a little bit over-aggressive. And by might, I think I can be pretty confident in that one.
I think it's safe to say that he overextended even his welcome. Got absolutely annihilated for that. Pretty much Beam is happy now. He's connected that Shockwave.
Yep.
Has a 50% competitive hit rate.
We'll be keeping you up to date with that particular statistic as well.
I'll lose percentage values soon.
Yep. Here it is.
Just destroyed. Rymeister had no right being that far under the turret. Lysandra, again, where he needs to be. And Pac-Man actually having his first real piece of influence on the map. Good to see so far from the Trident top laner. Impaired's kind of gone off the face of the earth, though.
Yeah, just jungling things out. Addition now. Going to be taking this red buff. You can see massive minion wave for Pac-Man to pick up here in the top lane. So he's going towards that Zhonya's Hourglass. Already in a nice position now on this Lysandra, especially once he has that item. Bit of extra health from that Rod of Ages. Oh man, it's pretty satisfying watching a Lysandra farm.
Nothing will beat a Diana Q killing a whole wave.
Oh, don't even.
Just saying.
Don't even. It's the only reason I play that champion. Rymeister makes his way over. Jakey gets destroyed! The chain gonna finish him off, and man, that's what he was trying to do before.
And Rymeister's saying that that's our jungle and you stay out. Absolutely given the no button. Just wrecked him off the face of the earth. He tried it once earlier. Missed the chains, but this time they well and truly connected.
Slow motion.
Jake.
See you later.
God bless, goodbye.
Yeah. May have actually had extra seconds added to the death timer just because of how dead he was just then. Some may say super dead, Rusty.
Never say super dead. We know it's rough then.
But Impaired, able to get a little bit of vision there that is going to stay. And Sin continuing their siege. Rymeister making his way down a little bit later. Talongale heads across this minion wave.
Beam is still mid though.
Yeah, Cullen comes in just to clear out this minion wave. Pac-Man not going to get hit by the chain. As Rymeister not going to use his full combo.
Dangerous game that Sin are playing right now once the Orianna has rotated. They've got control of the bushes. They have all of the wards in place. Juve's trying desperately to defend his ping.
Yep.
Little do they know, there's a second ward in there, so they're not going to clear it with a sweeper.
Cute. I actually really like those plays.
Joke's on you.
Exactly. Cardred probably looking to pick up his Hurricane very soon. It's Pac-Man helping clear out this wave. Addition going back to grab those Lucidity Boots most likely. Finish off that 40% CDR on this Lucian. Dishy-dashing around the Rift.
He has 230 farm at 22 minutes.
Very good.
So putting in some work here, getting all of the farm that he needs. Will be trying his absolute hardest to carry this game. You would have to wager that he's getting that magic resistance up sooner rather than later though, to survive.
Yeah, that
may even be a
QSS going.
Banshees.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I mean, there's not a lot he can QSS.
That's a good point. A little bit more of an investment into no damage if you go that Banshees route though.
But it dodges a lot of damage out of
Very true.
yeah, bet.
Cardred's going to get caught. Huge shockwave there as well as Rogue. Able to use that Unbreakable Will. He gets out. Chlorodoom going to be available over the side, but he's going to find himself a Chippies. Uses it to get into a defensive position, but Trident looks like their team comp coming online right now.
Definitely hitting a point of power. That was a lot of damage, and I don't think the Trident will continue any further, not having two of their big damage ultimates. Can't really get past the wave clear of an Olaf Graves, even if they tried their hardest. And Rymeister lurking around the outskirts of the battle.
Yeah, everyone moving out of the way. with this 4-2-1 LeBlanc.
But another good pick here from Trident. Elise hits the cocoon. The shockwave connects with 3 members, not just who was cocooned, because they all tried valiantly to defend his life.
Yeah.
2-for-1 pink sale.
That is a 66.66666 repeating shockwave hit rate right now.
I wish you luck with the next one. If he hits it.
You mean 75%?
If you keep going.
Yeah, I think we can get there. It's the one after that. It's like the 82.5%, I think. Assuming he hits it. I'm being very optimistic right now. It does. It most certainly does, Rusty.
We're not watching maths games.
But we go down the items, have a look at the fact that Locket of the Iron Solari has been completed. Very important item over the side of Sin. Rogue has managed to get to that one. Hurricane now done for Cardred, so he's hit that 2-item spike as Juves has picked up his Maw of Malmortius as well. So a lot of items coming online now for Sin.
Yeah.
See that if they can weather the storm of the burst potential out of Trident.
The kills that BMA got as well accelerated his item build exceptionally so, being able to get the Rod of Ages around 21 minutes, I believe it was.
Yep.
When he had the components at 18, so nice work here from Trident.
Oh, Jakey might be in trouble. Loses half of his health. Nice use of Eye of the Storm to mitigate a bit of it. Didn't really do all that much. Rymeister going to do that again.
Even with the Null Magic Mantle. Still doing that much damage. Jakey's item build has immediately changed given what Rymeister is doing to him.
Understandably so too. And now Chippy's looking to be that Olaf split push monster. Black Cleaver now done. Impaired is going to cop a combo, but manages to at least get the cocoon out. Pac-Man over the side, just as some insurance. He's going to find Juves there in the jungle as the ball comes in. BMA unable to find the dissonance damage. Trying to take away this pink ward.
Did you know Olaf, if he has his W on and last hit something with his E, he gains health back?
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. So gains more than he loses.
Well, he doesn't lose any. Because if you kill the minion, you get 0.
Ah, yes, of course.
The W increases the healing, so you actually heal instead of 0.
Love it. Never actually knew that.
Yeah, you do.
Haven't seen a lot of Olaf recently.
I was saving that one for a long time.
Yeah, it's a goodie. I appreciate it.
Wait till we see Nidalee again.
Oh, really? There's a lot of Nidalee stats rattling around up there?
Stats? No, just fun fact.
Oh, even better.
Like Dominion.
As it stands, oh my god, let's not talk about that. Although BMA is in the game, definitely a fan of the Crystal Scar is that guy. But 1,500 gold is going to be the lead here for Sin at the moment. Very, very small gap as Pac-Man may be able to find the ultimate. No, not going to here. It's BMA. Oh, it takes a lot of damage. There's the massive flash engage from Rogue as Juice over the side, but he's going to get caught out and exploded by the ultimate of Pac-Man. And Trident now starting off this dragon. They have a man advantage as Rymeister finds his way in, impaired there as well. Another combo as Rogue has to pop the ultimate. Chippies probably wants to get in there. There's some low health bars, some squishy members of Trident. Rymeister over the top, but doesn't secure the dragon. Jakey in a lot of trouble as the monsoon comes in. There's Impaired falling down. Chippy's grabs that kill. Double now as well as Addition's gonna fall. Rymeister grabs himself one, and Sin, they take some time making up their minds, but when they do, they manage to grab a 4-for-1 after the fact.
Looking to catch them out of position, trying to finish the dragon off as they do immediately catch someone, and they pay for it with their lives. Chippies is a monster on this Olaf right now, has got major items completed, and he runs his way through the entire fight. Impaired's the one out of position. They know he's not going to be involved in the fight. He's low from tanking the dragon, and Chippies picks his moment and just consistently runs at them, gets that burst of speed, throws the axe, gives Rogue the badass look away, slap in the face to knock down the 4th member.
Yeah, got hoofed. Completely hoofed. But it took them a while to make up their minds there, Sin. Of course, Chippy's still waiting in the wings a little bit.
Well, yeah, they had to. They didn't have Juves. It was a 4v5. And their only saving grace was that Impaired wanted to get the dragon, but the rest of Trident couldn't hold their forward position to keep Sin at bay, and they just worked their advantages.
Oh, Cocoon goes down. Juves has to try and get out of the way. The culling in the back of Rogue, but that means that Juves will be okay. Cardra getting out as well.
Is not really having an influence on this game. For someone that's been controlling... Oh, my, hello.
Yep, Pac-Man able to use that claw to get out of the way, but Rymeister may still want it. There's the Mimic Distortion.
Oh,
God.
What? The W got interrupted halfway, but it was still in range of the Lissandra and does damage wherever it gets interrupted in the area around the LeBlanc. So still within enough distance to kill the Lissandra by the tiniest margin.
It did half of his health bar,
Well,
Rusty.
it was cute first, let's be fair.
Yeah, true.
It's good for Death Cap, LeBlanc right now. My favorite thing is the sleeper reveals Pac-Man the whole time, and he's trying to juke. And it was the Thunderlords.
Yeah, the Thunderlords at the same time. Massive damage, but Sin looking for it. Rymeister's going to get solo Shockwave. Maybe not what Trident want here as the Frozen Tomb. Still, of course, on cooldown as Pac-Man's dead. Trident able to make it underneath their inner turret. Now Sin looking towards this Baron area. May take down this blue buff first as Chippy just runs past it. Sin going to start this one up. Callista secure.
Yeah, I mean, they need Chippies to tank this one, so he's not going to look towards that blue buff. Trident, they want this. Pac-Man's teleported.
He's trying to find his way in. Addition gets
a fake.
blown up. Yep, the fake one is going to get destroyed there as Rymeister was able to make it out. Not going to use too much on it, but 2 big cooldowns are down here for Trident, and Sin decided not to pull the trigger.
Yeah, so the major thing was they didn't know Lissandra's ult wasn't available.
Aha.
Teleported in and positioned aggressively and just legitimately ran at them with the claw up. And Sidon said, Sin said, we need to get out of here now, otherwise we're dying. They pick up 25 gold from the fake LeBlanc, but that's all they're actually going to get from that, besides disengaging the Baron in its entirety.
Well, Rymeister now with 9 stacks on that Dark Seal. And I think we are up to 75% hit rate on the Shockwave now for BMA, despite the fact that it only hit 1 person last time around. Still a hit, that counts.
Did you count the Baron fight?
Which one?
The Dragon fight?
Dragon
Was that
fight?
hit as well?
Oh yeah, so we are up to about
Good luck.
83. It's 82.5, not entirely sure. Sort of just like
Tweet that
going
at
with it
spawn
at the
more.
moment.
I'm done with maths for now.
Yep, good. I'm not going to get any further than that though.
No, you're not, and it doesn't look like Trident to get much further on this map either.
Good segue.
Well, had to segue eventually.
Yeah, get out of the way of this mathematics sort of situation. Sin, exactly right. In control of this game at the moment. Rymeister clearing out this mid lane. Trident wondering what the heck they're going to do to answer this. Their team fight can look very dangerous when they pair up all of these ultimates, but at the moment, Sin, they're attacking from multiple fronts, not providing that huge cluster for these AoE ultimates to be useful.
I just, like, so the gold lead's not that massive. There is well and truly a shot here for Trident to put themselves back in the advantageous spot. They've got a Lissandra Oriana combination, and Addition has been farming like an absolute fiend.
Madman.
He has almost got that Infinity Edge, and I feel like that's when Trident should look towards their team fighting strength and actually work around that team composition they've got in place. And honestly, Juves hasn't changed at all. His score has not moved since he's been caught out of position to start fights twice in a row. He needs to work out what he's doing on this Graves at the moment.
Oh, impaired. Looking for a cocoon, doesn't find it there onto Rymeister. As Chippies has control of this bottom lane, teleport's available here. Was looking to potentially head back as the Dissonance does a fair bit of damage to Juves.
Juves trying to defend a ward. There's a Graves against an Oriana.
Interesting.
Again, the team's not even there to help him, and that's the kind of thing that'll get you bursted and stop you from fighting for an extra piece of time. Juve's now going to be involved in a fight potentially with 1/5 of his health gone.
Rymeister once again heading forward. BMA takes a whole chunk of his health bar as Chippies getting some work done. Juve's going to get hit by that as the Shockwave flies through. Rogue now soaking up a lot of damage with the Unbreakable Will. Spooky Ghosts going to slow down both Chippies and Rogue, but yeah, not much happening.
Almost got the engage that they were looking for. Rogue had his combo in mid-flight, but Jakey on this Janna actually knocks him up in the middle of the headbutt to deny the entire combo. Saving grace potentially of Trident right there as Beamer forced to use that Shockwave one more time from the pressure that Rymeister's placing on him. And Rymeister's only getting bigger from here. Could well be the Mejai's built next while he has the Corrupting Potion. We'll see what he wants to do for slot efficiency. Nope.
Just sells the Corrupting Potion, grabs himself
Not
another
feeling
needlessly
lucky.
large rod. Yeah. Well, 6-2 and 4. He's having a great game, but Sin They do look a little bit shaky with their decision-making at the moment.
They have the right idea. They're just not able to pull the trigger. And again, if it's Juves walking by himself to place vision, then Juves is going to get bursted out in an attempt to place this vision. He's a low-range carry. Rogue needs to be at the forefront with him. And the rest of Sin need to be pressuring areas in order for Trident to be visible to allow Juves.
Oh, Shockwave comes back in. There's the cocoon as Juves uses the collateral damage. Nice Derek's gauge. Going to keep him alive for now, but that's another Shockwave down and another Juves getting caught.
It's just deja vu again. Honestly, like, Sin, they're all sitting in the river. No one's doing anything right now. And Trident are pushing their vision up more and more aggressively until they're towards the river themselves. Juves tries to place a deep ward. Pays for it. Of course, the Shockwave was used, so a big cooldown. Not actually that big once you have all of this cooldown reduction. As you can see, it's slowly coming back up to available.
Yeah.
And Sin, again, what do they need to do? They need to pressure side lanes, they need to pressure the middle lane, and have members of Trident visible before you place vision, or pull the trigger on the Baron.
Oh, they're pulling that trigger right now. You can see all of Trident in the mid lane. There's the scrying orb, so they know exactly what's going on. Cardred getting a lot of spears into this Baron. It's getting taken down very quickly. Look at that burst damage as Cardred. He'll be able to secure it. Doesn't even have to there as the culling comes in. Can Sin get out of here in time? As Pac-Man looking for the engage. Claw comes in. Doesn't find the frozen tomb as there's a flash over the wall from Cardred. Rymeister going to head back to base. That's a free Baron.
They do pick up the Baron. Finally, Sin pull that trigger, extend the gold lead by a little bit more, and open up opportunities for them across the entirety of this map to take down more of the standing gold. Middle lane is the natural progression for these guys, looking at the inner turrets available. And from there, it's inhibitors. Right for the picking now for Sin Gaming.
Exactly right. Cardred once again heading back. We'll see what item he wants to pick up now. As it is another BF sword. Or his first BF sword. Looking down at his items.
Correct.
Lots of defensive vision, though, now here for Trident, towards the top side especially. Still some in the jungle of Sin as well.
And of course, it was a Hex Drinker for addition, the Null Magic Mantle we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
I like it at the moment because more of Malmortius provides a lot of utility for Illusion.
A lot of extra damage there as well.
Damage and lifesteal.
Oh, Rogue. He may get caught out here.
No,
His Frozen
he's not.
Tomb. They're not looking for it. Of course, he can just use that Unbreakable Will. Now trying to find a turnaround opportunity. Undertow comes through. Pac-Man gets slowed. Cocoon finds no one as Sin holding on to their guns at the moment as Cardred and Juves, they'll make short work of this turret. Easy pickings for the Sin lineup.
As it should be. Having that Baron buff there for them. Big spike in power. And it's all down to Rymeister just never revealing himself, basically. Able to work between lanes and scare the crap out of Trident. Here he goes again.
Yeah, Rymeister over the top. Uses that Mimic on the Sigil. Gets a lot of burst damage through, but Impaired able to shrug it off relatively with that Spirit Visage.
Only takes one more of those, though, for Impaired to feel pressured and have to recall. And with
Rymeister
two waves at
finds
once.
a chain. BMA holding on to that Shockwave very patiently. Almost has the Void Staff done as well as Rymeister looking to head forward. Heads back on his Distortion as Chippies wants to finish that turret. Pops the Ragnarok. Able to do a lot of damage back there as Cardred gets the pierce through, but Chippies now quite low. The
Dangerous
smite comes
game.
in. Yeah. Very dangerous game.
They're poking their heads around aggressively, but Trident, they're still definitely looking. Here they go.
Yeah, there's a teleport from Chippies. Massive combo from Rogue as he makes his way in, and Jake, oh no, gets them all out of the way of the Shockwave. And now Jake's going to pay for it with his life. Gets slowed down by the Ren. Juves grabs the kill, and Sin, they may be able to push forward for the win here. Baroned up minions now behind them, and no addition or Jake to help out with this defense. Or a Shockwave. There is another combo from Rogue. This guy, this new support on the Rift is looking great on this Alistar. There's the claw as Pac-Man tries to find his way through. Wants an ult opportunity as again, Rogue going to stop BMA from getting there. Another combo comes down.
They're
and just
gonna be
so much
fine.
damage. They take down Rymeister.
There's turrets there. They have to flash. They could be stuck here.
Oh, another combo comes in. They're trying to lock up BMA. A double kill now for Impaired as he may have overextended. Finally falls down as BMA's trying to take down Cardred. He makes it up distance and gets out. Ragnarok up one more time as the ace now comes in. Rogue says, it's okay, guys. I will hold the way. And they manage to get out of the base, but no win just yet.
They don't get to end the game after a successful fight. The Shockwave not connecting because Jake and BMA are on different wavelengths, and the Lucian and Janna respawn just in time to defend that Nexus. That was a dangerous position for Sin to be in. They were stuck in the base, and we are going to see this one again. Lissandra gets the engage. Jake says, get out of my base, as Beamer says, clump together. Doesn't actually work like that with a Janna Orianna composition. Unfortunate stuff here for Trident, and it didn't really want to go that way. They look to engage to end this. They have the numbers advantage, but Pac-Man throws in the claw, stops them from hitting the turret, pushes them away, and Impaired's honestly the most important member here to note because the entire time he's putting down damage, takes down the LeBlanc most importantly, so target selection was really good. BMA honestly should be here cleaning up this fight, but focuses on shielding Impaired to go in, opposed to doing the damage himself. Cardred looks like he's going to go down, gets the ultimate back up though to throw Rogan, and Chippies comes in for the easy picking. Trident, they tried so hard to actually kill all of these Sin members to no avail.
Yeah, didn't manage to lock that one down. Rymeister now building towards the Luden's Echo with the Alacrity enchantment on his boots here as well. That was what he grabbed on his way back. And that's a 6-item Chippies in the top lane as well. 352 farm on the Olaf. That is 70 ahead of his lane opponent. If you guys are playing at home, Sterix Gauge, Deadman's Plate, Spirit Visage, more of Malmortius, and the Black Cleaver. That guy is so scary.
Yeah, all he's missing is the upgraded Boots of Swiftness.
Yeah.
Potentially a potion. Not an Olaf you want to be playing against as an Orianna or a Lissandra.
Juves though, clearing out this top wave. Impaired takes half his health, almost, from Rymeister, who says, no, don't kill my pink ward. I will kill you. Not going to be able to. Just yet. 10,000 gold, though, is the lead, or approximately here for Sin, as they're trying to pressure down another turret. No Baron buff there to help them out, as Rymeister's sort of solo splitting here in the mid lane.
They know that Addition's bottom lane, and no one was there to defend. They honestly could have just used Chippy or Rogue to tank the turret up for them a bit, poke them down and pressure, but not finding their way in without that Baron buff. Wave clear.
Impaired once again. Getting the attention. Right, and doing a decent job holding off here. Of course, lots of wave clear available from the Lissandra and, of course, the Orianna.
Yeah, there's one thing that team composition has from Trident. Wave clear on the solo laners and even Lucian to an extent with his ultimate.
Yeah. Cross Queen's Claim, discovering the Sin members towards this blue buff that Cardred's going to grab. And moving back now as these waves are crashing in. Addition still picking up farm here on the bottom side. But you can see Dissonance, man. It just does so much work clearing out these minions.
There's currently 2 people dealing with the bottom wave, and yet Sin still hesitant to pull the trigger. You have to question having Chippies in that top lane.
Yeah.
When he could be working on the solo laner dealing with mid. Or at least ignoring him and hitting the objectives, but they've got Rymeister for the rotation and assassination. Instead, they just wait for the Baron.
Yeah, well, Baron's going to be the next option. Of course, takes a lot of damage from this Sin lineup. You can see it's falling very quickly, but they decide to pull off it. There's the flash engage from Rogue, but he's taking a lot of damage. Impaired now for the flank. Wants to find a cocoon, but misses the first one. Trident haven't taken too much damage now. Is Sin going to pull away?
Completely forced away. Basically, we're looking at the Baron dance. Sin have complete control of the lanes. They should be forcing things here. Decent gold advantage as well, but it's hitting the point where this gold doesn't actually surmount to anything whatsoever.
Very interesting. That Nexus turret as well is on about 2 health right now.
Oh, it heals, doesn't it?
It does, but not that quickly.
I think it'll be on more than 2.
Yeah, okay, that was an exaggeration.
Yeah. No, it's not a one-hit tower.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Of course, we're looking at a 1 shockwave game now.
Potentially, yeah.
Let's hit that point. He's got his items. It is a 1 shockwave game. Not that Sin should ever let that shockwave occur. They've got complete control.
Well, Jake now as well. He's starting to build some tankiness, so Rymeister can't just destroy him. Distortion over the wall there, but he takes a bit of poke damage down from Addition. As Sin pull off the Baron one more time. Rogue was going down low. Chippy's now split pushing on the bottom side.
That's big.
Can threaten.
So they know Chippies isn't there. They're forcing the teleport out of this Olaf by starting the Baron. If they keep on it, it'll be low enough. Here's the teleport.
Yeah, down to over half health now as well as the claw's going to be used. Pac-Man looking to try and find the position, but Juves, the only target of the shockwave. That's one target, not one shockwave, is now Rogue able to get in amongst it, trying to find the pulverize. Massive burst damage as Rymeister makes his way in. Impaired's going to die as well. It's the Rymeister show, everyone picking up the kills as Sin's able to close it out. That's the ace. They only lose the mid laner. And Sin able to close this one through. We'll see whether they move forward down the mid lane or whether it's just going to be through the bottom lane. Looks like it, as Cardred can't get through the base gate. Unfortunate stuff, but that's going to be all she wrote. Sin, control for a lot of that game, and Rymeister really putting his money where his mouth is.
That whole last team fight was the blob, putting down bursts, hitting 4 of the members. Yet again, the shockwave leaves much to be desired here from this Trident lineup and doesn't find anyone except Juves.
Yeah.
Juves is a tanky member of this team. He's not going to go down from a shockwave. And Sin, they find their moment.
Yeah, the Sterix Maw of Malmortius really working out here for the Graves, but you just have to question BMA in that particular choice. Dangerous stuff, but we are going to throw it over to our experts to break down that game.
Thank you so much, Atlas. And what a game one that was. Sin really showing at the end of the game that they are a fantastic team fighting lineup. But let's go back to something that you said, Ryu, at the start of this matchup. You said that you think that Sin are going to be able to outdraft Trident, and that's where a lot of the emphasis would be. And you really felt that that was the case this time around.
Yep. I feel like drafting was a big part of this game. I'm not too happy with the I'd say I wouldn't say the pick is wrong, but I think when you pick Lissandra, I think you always have to be prepared to flex it. In this case, Trident picked Lissandra first, and then Sin picked Olaf, which is actually a very terrible matchup for Lissandra. But the only reason that lane didn't go as bad as expected is because Impaired tried to pressure that lane, and Chippy's played the lane right by playing really safe.
Yeah, so time and time again, we see that this pressure's going top lane is kind of what we called, but they amount to nothing because it's an Olaf and you're ganking with CC only.
Yeah, I mean, look, credit to Impaired. He actually did quite a lot of work in the top lane, getting a few things rolling there, but he couldn't pressure the mid lane. He certainly didn't have time to go bot lane in Snowball Edition. And Impaired's time just felt like it was trying to win a matchup that they were just never going to win.
Yeah, and then that kind of isolates mid lane. It turns into the Rymeister show. He starts picking up kills everywhere, pressuring the map. And you have to say that Trident start looking a little bit desperate as this game goes along. We've actually got a replay. I'm going to toss it over to you, Pastry Time. This is the first Dragon fight, and, you know, this is the desperation. They've got rid of Juice. He's used his death move, so he's off the map for a little bit of time, but they just force a fight they didn't have to.
Yep, so before we roll this out, just remember, Juves is dead. They picked him up just above those trees, and BMA did a great thing as Sin were coming in. He moves the ball over to the left and zones out Sin. You do not have to start the Dragon here, Trident, but we are going to roll the clip and see what happens. Dragon's low, they'll get it. But Impaired can't go anywhere at this point, and Chippy just goes off. He ignores everyone. Gets exhausted, doesn't care. Ragnarok doesn't care. Shockwave doesn't care. Edition Flash still don't care. And they just can't stop the Olaf. And Trident, they already got the pick. Just do something other than start a dragon that you know you don't want to fight. You already had the disengage.
And if you are going to start the dragon, the key thing is, like, commit to it. They were kind of balancing it for that long that it looked like, you know, Impaired. He was just sitting there tanking the whole thing in the dragon pit by himself. So completely agree that looked like Olaf was running over the top. And when you look at this matchup and how it played out, bottom lane started to get an early advantage, but both bottom lanes kind of nullified each other. It's exactly what we thought. Do you think that, I guess, Pac-Man has what it takes to turn it around in Game 2 here, Ryu?
Again, I think it'll all come down to drafting. I don't know why maybe Lissandra isn't a comfort pick for BMA, but if the Lissandra was flexed, I think the game outcome would have been very different.
Yeah, completely agree there. Yeah. And I think we might just see him go back to more of the tank style here, because Edition in that game had a problem where he was about 50 CS ahead for most of the time and just couldn't find a team fight that he liked. Shockwaves weren't landing, Pac-Man couldn't get into position, just didn't have a front line, so Edition can just start there shooting people.
That's what I want to talk about. We're going to pull up another replay on your screen. I'm actually going to take us through this one. It's the last team fight of the game, and, you know, the biggest thing that I want to watch out for is how pressured BMA feels. So as we roll this one out, you can see the teleport's coming out, and Beam is constantly running away because he has this Olaf in his face. His Shockwave's only one person. All of a sudden, he's balling himself instead of his AD carry. He's just not able to get anything done. Then Rhymaster flies in, cleans up everything else. You know, LeBlanc's always an execution-heavy focused mid laner, and it just seems right now, Beamer's a good player. I mean, we've seen him for years in the scene. He just seems to be really nervous. Lissandra wins the LeBlanc matchup. They didn't know it was going to be LeBlanc, but odds are, if you're playing against Sin, it's probably going to be an assassin in the mid lane that Lissandra should be able to do well against. It's much easier to execute than what an Orianna is in these team comps. I just don't understand why they don't have that flexibility in their draft.
It felt like Edition played a very consistent game and had a strong Lucian game, and they just didn't have the draft to back it up. We don't have a big tank jungler because we have Elise instead of something, say, like Rek'Sai. Like, there's no frontline really because you're playing double AP. Like, Ryu mentioned the draft was going to be awkward. It was awkward, and we kind of saw it in that game.
Well, we will see if they can tidy up their draft for game 2 because we are going to go to a break, guys. Don't go anywhere because when we return, Sin will be against Trident for game number 2. Welcome back, everyone, to the OPL. I am still Jake Spawn-Tiberi, joined by Ryu and Pastry Time, and we are here for Sin versus Trident. Game 2, Sin able to take Game 1 in pretty commanding fashion, you have to say, in the end. They set it up nicely with a good draft. But before we jump into Game 2 and our analysis, remember, guys, we do want to hear from you on social media. This time around, we want to know how long will the Chiefs hold their OPL Legend title. tweet at us with hashtag IMOPL. Pastry Time, you got an input on this one?
I mean, they went undefeated in their last split, and they're only losing to the end of split number 1. So you'd have to think maybe money is on holding it the entire time. I think they're going to drop it in a couple of weeks. I'm going to give them 4 weeks with the title.
Okay. And Ryu, when do they play you? Have you got the Chiefs penciled into your calendar?
In week 5, I'm looking forward to it.
There you go, 5 weeks. So there you go. They'll have it for 5 weeks, and then Hellions will take it off. But will be a very good matchup. Of course, they are playing Direwolves on Wednesday night to round out the week, so tune in for that one, guys. But getting back to the series at hand, we keep talking about the draft. I want to hit on something really quickly. It's a synergistic thing. It really drives me crazy. I know it drives Rusty crazy. Orianna and Janna, same team comp. You have to be able to execute this so well if you want to be able to run it. You can see Jake and Beamer, 2 of the newer members of Trident, weren't able to get it done game 1.
No, and it felt like they were just playing a few too many supports, to be perfectly honest. Mages in the mid, mages in the top, lots of disengage, playing, honestly, keep away for a lot of these fights. And I think if they are going to be a bit more successful with Orianna, you have to actually put a comp together that suits it. Get Jakey on the Alistar. Get Addition back on Callista. It's one of his best champions. And just go in. I know they took it away from him with good reason, but you need to find engagement in your support position if you actually want to make the Orianna work.
Yeah, and Ryu, I know that you mentioned that this isn't really what Impaired said he wanted to run either.
Yeah, I agree. This really wasn't in line with what Impaired said earlier. He said he wanted to play towards bot lane. He wanted Addition to carry. But when you pick a champion like Janna especially into a Callista lane, there's like nothing you can do. So unless you flex a champion in top and mid and get the counter picks there effectively and gank those lanes, I think you're rather better off picking the Callista or going for the counter picks, especially on red side this time.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's kind of weird. We've seen so much priority internationally on the Graves pickup, and you see that he wanted to take some of the CC, but it kind of felt like everyone had CC, no one had damage this time around except for Addition, and they gave it over to Juves on the other side of the map. And Graves at the moment, I'm not going to say that he's ridiculously strong, but he is undisputably the best jungler in the game right now, and you pretty much gave Juves, the person that they called out in their interviews, a free pass to just play the best jungler.
I think the biggest issue is that that whole draft, left Trident in a spot where Impaired couldn't really do anything. To his credit, he actually ganked the best lane possible, which was top lane, which is Olaf with your Lissandra, which doesn't sound great, but given the circumstances is kind of the only thing they can have. Ganking Orianna versus LeBlanc, not very useful. Ganking Janna, like Ryu mentioned, not very useful. What's your option left? Go duel the jungler against Graves. Absolutely not very useful. You saw what happened. He got shot in the face and almost died every time he tried to invade. Play something more aggressive. Take the Graves or go Nidalee Lee Sin. Like, Impaired has to try and do something here, but his team's draft's not helping at all.
Yeah, so we'll see whether that is something that they look towards. I want to talk about what Sin did right this game, though. The team fighting, the ability to split push. Do you think that this is something that Trident will look to replicate? Do they have to match the Chippy split push, or do you think they can just out-team fight them in game number 2, Ryu?
They can definitely out-team fight them, but again, it just comes down to the drafting. I don't think Trident had the tools necessary to deal with Sin's team comp this game.
All right, cool. That's what we've had from our experts, guys. Let's jump into game 2 with Atlas and Rusty.
Thank you very much, Spawn. And look, I'm excited to get into game number 2. Of course, we heard from the guys on the desk saying that, look, Impaired may need to get on a more aggressive jungler. Do you think the same thing there, Rusty?
Absolutely think the same thing. The way that they approached game 1 with their drafting here, Trident in particular, it was mentioned on the desk, doesn't let him in particular camp the lane that he said is the point that they want to focus. If their point of focus is to let Addition farm, scale towards mid and late game, then he should be focusing top lane and not focusing middle at all, where if you get a 2 versus 2 scenario, Rhymeister gets a single kill, the guy just snowballed out of control. Avoid that area completely, or spend your entire time in Jiv's jungle and kill him, not be Elise and meet in the middle.
Yeah, well, it does seem to be somewhere that they might need to focus. Trundle going to be the first ban here as we hop into Champion Select, ladies and gentlemen. Sin removing that one once again. Quinn being removed as well. Looks like we are going down similar path to these bans, maybe reverse just a little bit. We'll see whether Trident do actually react with some more focused bans. Maybe the LeBlanc actually leaves the table here and Rhymeister has to once again mix up his options. Malphite actually going to be banned away here this time around from Sin.
Banned on the blue side, so of course not giving the counter pick away.
Yeah.
For their top laner here, Pac-Man, to maybe put Chippies into a bit of a concerning situation. One thing to note is they've now shown they are willing to play Orianna.
Yeah.
So if you give them Malphite Orianna, there's always a way to throw the game. just how it works in mid-game.
That's a very good point. The Rock will definitely get a way into these team fights, and there may not necessarily be a monsoon to get everybody out of there. As Graves actually going to be banned, so Sin not wanting to first pick that one up for Juves, wanting to grab a different option there as Gangplank was removed next for Trident. We'll see what they round out the bans with. Lulu, of course, available. Lysandra there as well, which was first picked on the side of Trident last time around, and Lulu is the one that's going to hit the bench. So Chippy's now with his first pick, and Tom Kench. No time wasted, of course. Left up, they will grab that one away.
Not a surprise to see them pick up the Tom Kench. Can be flexed if it comes down to it. So all in all, a good first pick choice here for Sin Gaming. I'm still going to just touch on it very briefly. Rise is available.
Yeah.
Maybe pick that champion. If they don't go towards that, you may see the Alistar Lysandra as probably one of the best secondary drafts, red side first pick. If they don't go for that, I'm not sure where the direction's going to be. You would have to wager they pick up a support player and they go for the jungle option. Being on red side, they could always look towards giving Impaired a flex pick and a countered pick, but not often will you see a jungler get that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, of course, Rek'Sai, the comfortable option there. Of course, both Juves and Impaired have played that one. Elise now being hovered. It's Pac-Man yet to decide on anything. Alistair, of course, makes a lot of sense for Jake, and we already mentioned that Alistair would be a better option if they want to run these sort of Orianna-type team comps. And that does look to be the combination, so... Oh, no. Thresh, last minute, going to be locked in here.
Interesting. So they do pick the Thresh up, taking it away from Rogue, to be fair, who is an absolute monster if he gets Thresh. Worth considering.
The word one trick has been thrown around.
Has been, but we've seen success now on the
right.
Alistar, so
damn right. He's
definitely
proven
incorrect.
himself. Proven himself most definitely. But you can see Rymeister hovering the Riven. Not entirely sure whether that one is going to be locked away as Juves has the Zac and is going to lock it in. So the Oceanic Special, something that everyone's been a bit outspoken about, is there's the Callista locked in. So Addition not going to be able to pick up one of his comfort champions as well. The Desk were very adamant in saying that would be a decent option. BMA hovering the Yasuo now as well.
Might revert back to something along the lines of the Victor. Comfort champion for him. God forbid he goes for the Twisted Fate that I am perfectly on board with.
Interesting.
Difficult to execute into a Tahm Kench Zac though, and look at the drafts that they've got so far here, Sin.
Yeah, there's a lot of tankiness.
Unbelievable what they've got so far as a 3-man. Not only have they taken away the Tahm Kench from the board, they've taken away the Callista from Addition, and really they've got a Thresh in response here, Trident away from Rogue, but I'm saying it's a net gain potentially for Sin and what it's worth.
Yeah. Trident have set up the potential for a decent pick combination here. As Addition thinking about the Vayne into the Callista is going to be locked in here as Mundo is what BMA switched to. So Pac-Man looks to be playing that one in the top lane. You're going for a big burly guy up there to take on the Fish.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of killing happening in that lane, I have a feeling.
Deep down, I just wish they had picked Poppy in their last rotation here, Trident. Given that to Pac-Man. Had some merit to the composition. Because honestly, if Sin lock in either Alistar or Poppy, and their mid laner is LeBlanc again, it's just, that's a team comp.
That dive potential would be disgusting, Rusty.
That works too.
Yeah, there's a Yasuo picked up here for Rymeister. So BME now with the counter pick available. Aurelia being considered. Bit of a shout out to Chippies there as well, of course. Very accomplished Aurelia player. This is interesting. This is very interesting.
This is just Jake trolling Pac-Man and or Chippies.
Yes.
Looking for their mid laner here, Trident, with their last pick option. Of course, we mentioned the Twisted Fate, we mentioned the Victor. All possible. Going back to the Orianna, another option for BMA. Loves his control mages.
Difficult to play the Orianna into the Yasuo, though, just with the wind wall being such a problem for that champion.
And just Zac in general.
That's true.
And this is the real big burden here that BMA has to deal with is high-ranged engage tool. Basically guaranteed to get something on you if you don't burn a summoner spell, depending on your positioning. And even then, Orianna presents a very real risk into a Yasuo Zac.
Well, it is going to be picked up here. BMA once again going back to comfort. We'll see how he goes in this particular matchup. We'll be able to harass from range quite nicely, I guess, early on, but it is a difficult matchup.
So they've made some changes here, Trident, with the team comp. They've got better, not going to say better engage, it's more pick-oriented.
Yeah, lots of pick power.
They've got Vayne to complement their damage output with that pick. They've got a very big front line in the Mundo, and potentially Impaired looking at his build path. I'm going to say it's a bigger brick wall to help deal with to help BMA in addition deal with Sin overall, but the immediate response here from Sin Gaming is just tank, 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 frontline, and a Callista who sits just near the front line and throws your cow back at them for more frontline. Hyper tanky, hyper aggressive bruisers.
And all of the CC available here as well. I mean, even the ultimate out of Yasuo going to be able to hold people in the air for a long time. So much of an opportunity to get that last breath off as well, as he's going to be around so many different knockups. Let's Bounces there. The Pulverize going to be available once again from Rogue, who showed that he's a great Alistar player. Looking dangerous on the side of Trident, but if they manage to get their comp together, things may work out. Of course, if you believe that Sin can take this 2-0 victory, use that hashtag SinWin over on Twitter. If you believe in the game number 3, then use that hashtag TryWin and send your thoughts out to Trident, looking to try and get their way back into this series. It'll be difficult because I have a feeling that once again, Sin, their draft looks fantastic.
Yep.
And we'll see exactly what Trident can do utilizing this team comp this time around, whether something's going to change.
Yeah, Trident need to show a lot of experience here on a new roster to actually give it to Sin one more time. Put them under pressure. That means they're looking towards Impaired and BMA to really be the rock of this team. And you would have to say one more time that Impaired needs a good start and may need to rethink his strategy coming into Juves in this jungle Zac.
Yeah, well, Impaired already in position now. Sees 4 members of Sin moving towards that top side of his jungle. Just puts a ward down. He's going to be able to move back. Pac-Man here as well, but Sin just going to be mirroring this time around, grabbing that deep vision.
Yeah.
Vayne already in the top lane. So we'll see whether he decides to recall.
Trident not actually responding to it with any deep vision of their own. Actually very defensive and neutral vision from these guys, as they've already got their AD carry sitting in that top lane with Addition there.
Yeah.
Not spotted from any of the wards at all. And Sin are going to be none the wiser in that aspect. Which also means that Pac-Man should be going to join his jungle duo buddy now with Impaired. But really, I don't know what they're doing. They're just waiting
Yeah, interesting
for
stuff.
wards to potentially die.
But is going to mean that the lane swap is successful here for Trident. Addition going to have some free farm up against Chippies, who has his jungler all the way over the other side of the map. And Chippies may actually get denied a whole lot now that they have missed out on this double jungle option.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty rough for Chippies here. He's just going to get zoned, and generally the advantage will go to the Mundo just from getting experience. You can see immediately Trident's response. Jake can go get deep vision, look towards that blue buff, placing some wards and denied, but Chippies is already here.
Yeah, Chippy's going to spot Jake moving into the jungle. Some giggles to come out from the Thresh, as Sin now pushing quite far up this lane. May not have quite enough members to fast push this one.
No.
But Callista and Vayne, both of them not with a whole lot of fast pushing power early on.
So I don't think they're looking to fast push. Honestly, I think they're just getting it to the turret to deny as much as they possibly can. Usually if you're looking to fast push, you wait for the second or third wave by having it freeze, and then push in with a massive minion stack. Instead, they've just put it straight to the turret here, Sin. Taken all the farm off the board, looking to get it to reset. Maybe freeze again in the future, but it's about denying here from Pac-Man.
Well, Chippy's dodging a bullet now as well by exiting this lane very quickly, as 4 members of Trident were there. You can see Rymeister already commanding some respect here in the mid lane. Ignore the miss of that cannon creep, please.
And that one.
Not
watching.
Oh, nice wind wall.
Denies a cannon of his own, so we'll put him back to even.
Yep, no one can have
And Impaired.
Yeah.
Windwall's not available. Keep that in mind.
On cooldown, but there's the exhaust. Flash has to be used from BMA as Rymeister. He's burning to death. There's the Flash Cocoon. Nice flash out of Rymeister. Going to get him to safety. So all summoner spells down for these mid laners, but that's with the help of Impaired.
And actually an extra summoner has to be used by Impaired to look for the kill.
True.
So works out as I guess a net gain of a very minute amount here for Sin. Rymeister with that pressure on Yasuo coming up trumps.
You can see it has turned into a push here on the top side. 3 minutes and 50 seconds. as that top outer turret is going to fall in favor of Trident. So already off to a decent start as far as that global gold is concerned. Cardred soaks a cheeky turret shot, and they are going to even out those turrets very quickly.
Yeah. Sin, again, we mentioned focusing much more on that denial of farm away from Pac-Man, but all in all, it works out relatively even, as Chippies and Jews are going to share the gold here once they let that last one die.
Yeah, it's holding onto this wave here as well. That one will potentially reset. Ramaster though, back into the lane. More than happy.
Didn't recall.
Yeah. As the flow built up, man, you know, that's a lot of extra shield. Should be A-okay. Oh, nails it. Stabs that cannon creep in the face. Beautiful stuff. Sin in position around Impaired.
Impaired's level 4 with a farm advantage.
Oh, walks straight into the Pulverize. It's a fair bit of extra damage there as a headbutt comes in. The Ignite's down. He uses the Repel, but Impaired may die here. Stretch Armstrong comes in for it. Grabs first blood. That's going to be Juves picking that one up. So a little bit of revenge from what we were thinking was going to be the weaker jungler this time around.
And of course, that was entirely on the back of the shot calling, just catching him by surprise. Impaired had no idea they were going to be there, and even with the advantage from farm that Impaired had put together, he had no idea they were there, and the combo was just too strong from these guys. Knocks him around. Level 1 Thresh, not going to be able to save his teammate's life, as of course they did use their flashes, both support and jungler, to make sure he died.
And if he had that Lantern, I mean, I have a feeling that would have been a very different story, but you're right, Jake. Not quite up to that level yet.
And Ignite on Rogue, keep that in mind, is what actually enabled that kill at all. Not an exhaust support.
Yeah, well, you see Rymeister still just smacking down these minions here in the mid lane. BMA doing a great job farming. Rymeister able to throw out the wind wall.
Funny thing about that Yasuo wind wall is correct application of it actually brings the minions towards your turret sometimes. Also lets you push much more effectively and denies a lot of damage from minions early in the game on you.
Hey, that's a good point.
Because it blocks their autos as well. Wispy little light bulbs that they throw at you.
Yeah, and they do a fair bit of damage. Those caster creeps, especially in the early game.
They attack fast. It's like 12 a hit though.
Builds up. Right, Impaired. Now going for a bit of a counter jungle here towards the bottom side. See whether they actually get some pressure in this bottom lane. Sin, after that first blood, do manage to pick themselves up a slight lead, but it's only about 300 gold. Trident still more than happy.
Yeah, Trident almost came out ahead from it. They've got more farm on their top lane Mundo here in a comfortable position. And more farm was going to be on Impaired, their jungler. But if he didn't get caught out of position, you would say Trident would be ahead. Sin with the clever rotation, put themselves back in it.
Yeah, Rymeister getting a lot of damage out onto BMA. The Ignite goes down once again. As the Q doesn't land, but in goes Juves. There's the ultimate, and that's the instant destruction of the mid laner of Trident. Nicely played by Sin, as Impaired just a little bit too late.
We mentioned this in the drafting phase. Pac-Man 2 levels above. He's going to put some hurt on a Chippies here as well. But again, that middle lane, what is an Orianna to do against the Zac and a Yasuo combination? The answer is nothing but die. Because every single time, if you are there without your summoner spells available, you're not going to have a good time.
And that's the thing that's so scary about this Sin lineup as well, is the dive potential. They've got Unbreakable Will there, so Rogue can dive with impunity.
Yep.
Not to mention Juves with his passive.
And a Tahm Kench.
And a Tahm Kench.
To eat the person who was tanking in the first place.
Yeah, making anyone able to dive, really.
Mm-hmm. Rymeister to compliment, keep that in mind. Can follow up very nicely.
Yeah, and also that... Oh, yeah, there it is. So BMA getting denied.
Keeps the wave frozen as well in the perfect position.
Yeah.
That's a 3 minion wave stack, which is ideal.
Exactly right. I'm looking at this now and I might play some Yasuo later. Oh, don't worry, I won't. I won't. Yeah, my producer in my ear saying, please don't, Max.
Yeah, I'll probably disconnect.
He doesn't want me really, really sad coming into tomorrow.
Again, Sin pressuring this middle lane. It's the easiest one, like, weirdly enough to say, easiest lane to get kills right now. Zac is the best at ganking mid. Mind you, Juice looks like he doesn't really
Yeah, Jake actually holding on to the death sentence now. The flayback is going to work, but massive pulverize from Rogue as he finds his way in. Last breath comes down as well. Jake in so much trouble. Decent shockwave out of BMA, but Rymeister deletes him. Pac-Man now right in amongst this fight. He's got the ultimate running. Not a lot of ignites available now as well. And Sin, they'll grab the pick and they'll get out.
It's just that easy for a team with this many tanks. As head as Pac-Man might be, it's not going to be ahead enough to live through any combinations or even let his team live through any combinations in this case. As Sin, they run the Zac Yasuo successfully one more time.
And Rogue just looking so good on this Alistair as well. Another 3-man pulverize to start that one up. We are going to see it again.
The damage is well and truly there. They've got all the knockups to complement. Beamer has to flash, hits the shockwave, but Rymeister dodges it. Wind wall's down, so Sin, they look to disengage pretty much immediately. So easy for them to do.
But against the tide, Trident are able to pick up that dragon on the back end. Now Cardra just farming here on the bottom side. Big minion stack here for this Kalista, who's already ahead in farm over the Vein of Addition. Going towards that Blade of the Ruined King. Would normally say standard stuff. Has switched around a little bit with the old Vein builds recently.
And I mean, at this point in the game, what do you look towards as the positive here for Trident? Honestly, the only thing is the Mundo.
Yeah.
And every single time they try and run a skirmish here, Trident, I feel like they fall further behind into this trap. And that comes down to their drafting. It all came down to that champion select for this early game to be where it is. They're looking for a late game team fight here. They're trying to bridge themselves towards the later stages where Mundo's unkillable, as we're looking at two minions staring longingly into each other's eyes.
Oh, it's
unrelenting
isn't it?
and unwilling to die.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Even one of them has a health bar.
A little bit of Shakespeare going on the bottom side of the map. But 2,000 gold is what the damage is going to be. As you can see, Rymeister dominating that farm as well. 30 minions ahead. 2-0-0 in comparison to the 0-2-0. Even further in the lead this time around is Rymeister of Sin. And you can see, I mean, Impaired's picked up a few more jungle camps, but Juves is on 1-0-2. He's having a great game on this Zac.
Yeah.
I feel like he really suits this tank playstyle as well, because put your face in it is something that generally works out for the old tank.
Absolutely, and Zac is a put your face in it champion. Works well with chippies. On this Tahm Kench, they can put all of their face in there, and it's a pretty big face if you count Zac as one big blob.
Yep, that's true.
He could probably change the size of his face.
Chippies is mostly face as well if you look at that champion model.
Yeah.
Guy's able to eat a lot of things.
Catfish. Like face fish.
Ah, yeah.
Got him. That was horrible.
Yeah, it was. But Rymeister able to clear out this mid lane. We'll see whether they can get the siege on here. As there's the last breath. It all looks too easy. Gigantic CC out of Sin. There's the wind wall as well, stopping anything. Chippies is hungry for some Mundo. Able to lock that one down is Rymeister, and this is looking gross on the side of Sin, but so good.
And welcome to the Jumping Castle. $2 admission if you were Trident. They get in for free. Destroyed, and they could do nothing. The Shockwave didn't even get an opportunity to go down and even keep himself alive. As Juice starts it, Yasuo comes in there from Rymeister to consolidate, and Rogue comes in as the third member to make sure they're bouncing absolutely everywhere with no response available.
That was ridiculous. Grab the turret there as well as BMA gets his wave held onto him by Jakey. Oh, man.
There's no counterplay to knockups.
Nope.
Not this early in the game. And they're only falling further behind here on the side of Trident. The only thing, again, is this Mundo. The Vayne will scale, the Orianna will scale, but so does a Yasuo, especially when it's 3-0-2, and this is again going to be that Trinity Force build here from Rymeister. I asked him about this, and it's because he goes for the Fervor of Battle as his mastery.
Yeah, okay.
Opposed to going the crit one.
Just thinks that it helps him out a little bit more. You can see Jake is going to discover Sin stealing away the red buff, but not a lot that anyone can do. Rymeister going to lock that one down for himself with an easy Q over the wall. Impaired trying to take that one down, but Juves denies it. Shades of last game, but Wearing different colors this time as Sin. They're just going to set up for this top outer turret. Not a lot Trident can do as the standing gold is going to be sucked off the map.
Juves was looking to engage and Chippy has just ate him and said, sorry,
come
man,
on, mate.
get the objectives. Come on.
Oh, that's the counter to Juves over aggression is pick Tom Kench. Well, the Rift Herald is going to be taken here. Only 14 minutes into the game. I saw Juves charging that one up. I'm like, it's Baron time. But no. Only been 14 minutes. You can see Sin playing this one out very, very nicely.
Yeah.
5,000 gold.
Only going to get worse from here. You would have to think. I mean, we're looking for one skirmish, and granted they have been skirmishes where Trident try and find their way back in. Morello's done for Orianna, so has got a completed first item, but until those Sorcerer shoes are available, I don't know if the damage would be there in the first place. Magic resistance on the top laner. Jungler's a Zac, so doesn't necessarily need it yet, and even Rymeister's got his Mercury treads. What's a BMA to do?
Yeah, and Impaired's gone for the Runic Echoes here as well, so if he's discovered by anyone, he's just going to explode.
Even the Mundo would explode at this point.
Yeah. Well, you can see Chippy's playing with Reckless Abandon here on the bottom side. All the way up. Not a lot Pac-Man can do just because of the amount of control Sin have. Look at all of the vision, especially towards this top side. Rymeister completely safe at the moment as well as Juves able to smite away that Raptor camp. Immediately grabs himself a ward at the same time as Death Sentence just flies lazily by the big blob.
Even Jake level 5 at the moment on this Thresh. Not having a great time. Without the ultimate available, their opportunities to fight are even less than you would otherwise think. And Juves, once he hits that level 9, I think it's like 3,200 range on the E.
Yeah.
Which is bigger than a Nocturne, I think even level 2 ultimate.
Yeah, no, Zac is silly. That elastic slingshot. Pretty crazy.
It's more like an elastic rocket launcher.
It is.
Catapult, I guess, or trebuchet.
Trebuchet, I like that. Well, looks like Sin setting up for a bit of a siege on this top inner turret. Trident are in place, though, as Pac-Man's making his way forward. You can see Rogue waiting in the brush. We'll see whether this is another opportunity for Sin to grab a decent team fight. Trident, they cannot group up here, as there's the teleport in. Chippies wants to make his presence known.
Trident are finding their aggressive streak here.
Oh, Chippies takes a lot of damage back.
Yeah, Chippy's definitely taking the poke. And Sin, they were over-aggressive to try and get that turret down. Now working on their vision. You would imagine they rotate from here after keeping some pressure, but Trident should not be overextending themselves anyway at this point. Sin not respecting, but they do now.
Yeah, but Rymeister moved over to the mid lane. Does have his flash and exhaust up, so it will be dangerous for BMA to stay in that lane. 167 to the 121 in that mid lane, but you can see Rymeister, I mean, he's right on the clock with that farm. Only 17 minutes into this game. Has the Alacrity enchant built up as well, so he's going to be running quickly around this one. Almost has the Trinity Force.
And we know he is a fantastic late game Yasuo.
Oh yeah, almost carried that game back. For
Very
Sin.
nearly.
Yeah, versus Legacy last week. And you can see he's just having so much fun as well.
And I have to keep addressing this. If Trident's goal is to let Addition carry, but they're struggling in every other respective part of the map, then their bottom lane is never going to carry.
No.
And so they really need to address the focus that they're putting into these games, whether it is now to change all of their attention to that bottom lane, even run teleport on BMA mid, and try and influence the rest of the map. Concede your laning phase and not actually try and fight him with an Ignite Orianna. Need to reassess their game plan here for early game Trident, but of course we're past that now.
Yeah, 18 minutes into the game, well and truly up to the midpoint. And Trident, they've been good to avoid a lot of these engagements at this point. Of course, it's been a few minutes since that last one in the mid lane. So just trying to sit back, farm as effectively as they can, but it's meant that Sin have complete control over the jungle, and they're just slowly falling further and further behind. Rymeister moving
Juves
over towards the mid lane. That's a massive engagement as Jake gets destroyed again. Impaired falls down. Addition tagged by the tongue lash.
They're not done.
Yeah, utilizes the ultimate there as Cardred able to get the fate call in as Addition over the backside, not going to get knocked up. by the Q. And Sin able to take down this inner turret, and it all just looks too easy when they land these knockups. The first one goes in, and then immediately 2 people are dead.
And it's just a clear-cut advantage here for Sin Gaming. What are you meant to do if an Alistar engages? We know Rogue can. Juice can follow that one up and guarantee his success rate with hitting that elastic slingshot. Rymeister just presses R. Chippies.
Yep, that's a shockwave from BMA, but Chippy's not going to take too much from that one as the teleport was in fact baited out from Pac-Man. Big minion wave in the top lane as well for Sin, but they have no teleport either.
And Sin are accelerating the crap out of this game.
Oh, yeah.
You can see Alacrity upgrades on their top and mid laner, and even the Distortion upgrade on Rogue. He's going to be flashing around this map everywhere. It's such a dangerous predicament here for Trident to get themselves back in. I don't even know if they can at all. Baron up in 28 seconds. If Sin take that, it's lights out.
7,000 gold at 19.5 minutes into this game as well. That is massive. There's Rogue hanging out here with Rymeister. Rift Herald, see you later, mate. It's been lovely to have you on the Rift.
Baron says, get off my lawn.
Yep. Big man back in town, no house sitting left. Do you reckon he's a squatter, or do you reckon he is a house sitter?
100% a squatter.
Oh, man. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Baron had posterized that kid. It's Baron's land.
It's true. I mean, it could have been his long-lost cousin, though. You don't know.
Nah. I think everyone in the Void's an enemy.
Old Pac-Man going to be able to pick up at least this wave of farm.
It's almost
Burning
like
Agony helping.
the jail of League of Legends, the Void.
Well, Baron's being pinged right now. Sin. I think they've even started it up. Hanging out around the area as well. Anyway,
Not yet.
Cardred makes his way over. They have no vision here for Trident. BMA able to get a ward over there, but it's already down to half health. Cardred, he's stuck it with a whole heap of sticks. Impaired, not going to be able to get over here as there's the shockwave, but no one gets it. In goes the Rend, and it is going to be locked down, so Baron available now as Trident trying to do what they can already. Jake's fallen down. Pac-Man as well gets exhausted and destroyed. Addition now dead. It's a whitewash. Sin able to get all the way through. BMA, the last man standing. Abyssal Voyage, though, from Chippies is going to seal his fate. And BMA runs back to his last remaining turret that he can get to. Even picks up some farm as the elastic slingshot gets Juves in there. He's got the passive, so he'll be fine. And Chippy says it's dinner time. I'll have an Orianna, thanks.
And Rymeister is so good on this Yasuo, kiting around that fight perfectly. The Baron didn't even get Ren Smite comboed. It went down to 35 health before an auto attack from Cardred secured that Baron. Didn't look like the ideal situation to be in here for Sin, but they make it work, because honestly, watch Rymeister throughout this. He gets out of the pit where he is stuck by following up, out, and just kites the back. The tanks are destroying the front line, but again, you can't stop this Yasuo. Cardred gets free hits because they're focusing him.
Looks very scary to be a Trident fan at the moment. But, man, Sin really making it look good right now. And this is the Sin that we wanted, right? Because, look, Sin's draft has been great, and we have spoken up about Sin and their support staff. The fact that Bensel, their new coach who has worked with EULCS teams, they were very vocal about that, and now definitely looking like it's working out.
This is a better Sin than what we saw in Game 2 against Legacy, and they almost beat Legacy in that game. That says a lot about the Sin we're currently looking at. Leaving Trident with 0 options in a competitive game is an impressive feat to say the least.
And I've been so impressed by Juves this game as well. This tank play has been so much better. The Zac looking really good. Close to 100% kill participation here as well as he's looking to charge up another engagement. Of course, Last Breath is there. Any knock-up could spell the end of Trident if they do group up. Nicely, though, they are moving around, but with this inhibitor down, the base broken, it's looking very hard for Trident as they're being split across the defenses.
Yeah, and again, Yasuo. Rymeister with his Trinity Force builds just going to split that top lane right now, while the 4 members, the 3 tanks and Cardred, parade their way through the bottom lane in a nigh on impossible to kill fashion.
And I just find it ridiculous because you can't poke out a Zac, a Tahm Kench, or an Alistar.
And Rymeister can 1v1 Pac-Man 100%.
You could probably 1v2 a couple of members of Trident right now as in goes the engagement. Jake's going to get knocked up. It's a decent shockwave, though, on 4 members here in the bottom lane. The shutdown comes in. That's not a lot of damage left as Yasuo still on the top side. It's a double kill now for Addition as he's finding his way in. But Chippy's just eating people across the rip. You can see Rymeister still just deciding to fight towards the top side, able to get the kill. Might be able to take the inhibitor as well, as he says, all right, team, if you guys want to die, I'll just take the base.
Yes, of course. Godlike Rymeister in this top lane as Tahm Kench has to save Cardred from a hook. Unfortunately for them, and very well played from BMA, the shockwave connects. 0-4 BMA, though, on this Orianna isn't going to be able to do enough damage to solo carry the fight. Addition puts in work, and they do get kills. And they no longer have a 0-kill game here. And this, again, we said that Rymeister could fight him. Well, that is glaringly obvious, and you can tell how good he is on this Yasuo, even weaving an auto attack before he presses R.
Yeah, really nice stuff. You saw it in the screen there, though. Addition was able to pick himself up a triple kill. So this Vayne now with a Phantom Dancer in his back pocket as well as that Blade of the Ruined King. Feeling a lot better. 6.1 as well. You get a little bit more of that passive movement speed from the old Phantom Dancer. Feeling a bit better for that item.
2 inhibitors down now, though.
Oh, yeah.
They only really need to focus bottom. And with a wind wall available, will BMA be able to hit that shockwave again and set his team up for another triple?
It's going to take a few more shockwaves like that, though, I feel, Rusty, to get Trident back into this one. The last remaining turret to siege up.
They can just set up pinks. You would hope.
Well, death sentence onto Juves. Juves not too worried about that one, though, of course. Still hasn't died. I don't think he's been down to his passive yet either, as the Cocoon going to go wide from Impaired.
Cardred just needs to be a little bit more careful. They know when members are missing because of the other waves. Just don't get hooked. Don't get caught out of position by an Elise Cocoon. Don't get shockwave. Play patiently. Top's starting to work its way in. There's a big wave mounting now. And this is where Trident get really on the back foot.
Well, Chippy's poking with a minion there. Underneath the turret. And Juves has cleared out the vision. We'll see whether they decide to pull the trigger at any point. Death Sentence lands onto Chippies. He's a very tanky member of Sin, though, as the CC is layered quite nicely. Half of his health now down, but Rymeister, he's over the wall. They're looking for the engage. Jake gets knocked up. Massive let's bounce as Rymeister. He really wants Addition, who's going to get shut down by the Rend. Oh no! Another hula hoop around Pac-Man as he was running out instead of running in. And this is going to spell the end for Trident. In goes Rymeister, who was holding on to that ultimate for quite some time. Pac-Man going to make it back to the fountain, but not going to get executed just yet. He may live to see another day, but his Nexus, it's a different story. Sin going to be able to close it out 2-0 in commanding fashion. 15,000 gold in the end was the lead, 17-3. And Sin, game number 2, so convincing. 2-0 victory in the end, really leaving Trident in the dust.
And that was a drastically different Sin from game 1. The whole team coming together. It wasn't just Rymeister and friends. It was a team effort from Sin this time, and a very impressive performance all in all.
Yeah, really powerful stuff. We are going to throw it over to the analysis desk to break down that game.
Thank you so much, Atlas. And that was an impressive game too, out of Sin Gaming. That was a pretty commanding victory in the end. But let's first hit on Trident. They changed it up. Back to a tanky top laner. Back to, I guess, a little bit more of a utility support this time around, not just disengage, but pastry time still didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, like, kind of got out-tanked, which is pretty funny, given that Pac-Man does like to play all these tanks. But I think drafting, again, just has to be kind of noted here. I'm so amazed that they didn't pick Kalista, first of all, and then didn't pick Alistar. Like, you have all these options here. Impaired also went back to Elise, which is okay, but I think doesn't apply the same pressure that he wants. And the comp they built, in principle, was much better, but I feel like they just picked really comfortably for themselves instead of picking stuff that maybe is a little bit more current.
Yeah, and Ryu, you keep mentioning this. It seems that Trident's drafting is based around their players instead of what's currently strong, and you just don't seem to think it's working right now.
Yeah, I think because of the champion pool, maybe they're not comfortable on certain champions. I think they're leaning towards too many like static lanes. Like where's Impaired gonna gank? Like, there's Mundo versus Time Kench in the top lane. Yasuo, very hard to gank. And then Kalista, again, like, there's nothing you can do. So they did pick the scaling comp, but I think they tried to depth off the first game, but Sin were a step ahead, and then they picked up a completely different comp. And then after Yasuo turned level 6, it was just dive after dive after dive, and they had no disengage.
Let's get realistic. After Yasuo hit level 6, it was game over because we've got a replay, and just to show you exactly what Sin's comp does, there was about 4 of them, but let's go with this one.
This is probably the one I like the most, so let's roll this out and just watch how Juve set this up. Goes in, knock up, Yasuo ulti, let's bounce, Alsar combo, goodbye everyone. And the thing I love so much about that is Zac and Yasuo set this all up perfectly. Zac actually does a lot of damage by himself when he's just moving around in Let's Bounce. But it's a very short knockup, so they don't usually get to deal a whole lot of Zac's damage. That sets up everything just wonderfully, guarantees every knockup, all that damage, and people just die.
Yeah, and you saw that, like, that was 2 people dead before they even hit the ground. So in the end, Sin used that combo time and time again. We saw it all over social media. Do not let Sin get their wombo combo because it is going to be bad news. And that does lead us to a Sin 2-0 victory over Trident. As we take a look at the games ahead, guys, jumping across to Wednesday night, it will be our doubleheader for Inferno versus Halions, as well as the Chiefs taking on the Direwolves in what is our OPL Legend matchup. But tomorrow night will be Avant-Garde taking on Legacy Esports, and this should be a huge rematch. A huge match coming into what was 2 of the top 4 teams last year. Avant with a new roster starting to turn it around. They're looking promising.
Yeah, certainly are. I mean, I think it's a big challenge here in the everywhere, honestly, but mid lane's always potentially a bit of a tricky... bottom lane could be tricky with King and now Regret being picked up there. I think Destiny's very confident in his play and he likes his support Blind Turkey a lot, but that bottom lane feels like a real challenge to me.
Yeah, well, it certainly is going to be a fun matchup to watch, but guys, that's all from us tonight. So on behalf of myself and our entire production and crew, as well as Ryu, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 6 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Saving Time to catch Avant versus Legacy.